The space distorted for a while. Yifeng Shenjun appeared beside Gu Qingxuan. What's wrong? Gu Qingxuan was a little dumbfounded. He has been here for 2 days. Yifeng Shenjun glanced at it and probably understood what was going on. Lin Moyu is obviously in a state of comprehension now, and there is a faint sense of law rolling on his body. There are some things that Gu Qingxuan doesn't know, but as a god, he knows it all. It seems that Lin Xiaoyu's soul quality is very high. Yifeng Shenjun said. Gu Qingxuan also had a similar guess. Is there a second-rank peak? Lord Yufeng smiled slightly, but did not answer. This expression fell into Gu Qingxuan's eyes, but it had another meaning. Master, are you saying that he may have a third-grade soul? Nightbreeze shook his head. I didn't say anything as a teacher. Qingxuan, don't forget the rules of our human race. Gu Qingxuan's expression tightened immediately. Qingxuan did not dare to forget. Quote, the rules of the human race are not to find out the level of the other party, especially the level and quality of the soul. Unless the other party takes the initiative to tell you, otherwise you can't even ask. Spying on others is a big taboo. The small ones attract hatred, and the big ones make enemies. Yifeng Shenjun looked at Lin Moyu. I think this son is unusual. Qingxuan can try to make friends with him. Gu Qingxuan said quietly, Master, you often teach Qingxuan to make more friends, and Qingxuan has been doing it with her heart. However, making friends depends on whether there is fate and whether you can treat each other sincerely. Yifeng Shenjun comforted Lao Huai. Qingxuan is right, treating each other with sincerity is the first step. If you can't even do this, it's just that you can make some good friends, don't worry about it. From my perspective, this child has a calm mind and a good seedling. Anyone who can stand out from the small world is not too bad. Some people in the big world look down on those who come out of the small world, but teachers don't think so. Gu Qingxuan understood what Yifeng Shenjun meant. You know what to do. Lord Yufeng left, and Gu Qingxuan continued to wait. The task that was about to be completed was delayed for another 10 days. 10 days later, Lin Moyu finally recovered. Opening his eyes and seeing Gu Qingxuan, Lin Moyu was a little embarrassed. I'm sorry to trouble you, senior. Gu Qingxuan shook her head. I'm out of touch, don't call me senior, I'm not like that anymore. Then how should it be called? Lin Moyu didn't know much about the rules in the big world, so he was afraid of calling it wrong. A little smile appeared on Gu Qingxuan's clear and beautiful face, like a winter plum in full bloom, extremely beautiful. Our human race is all descendants of the emperor, and we have the same origin. You can call me senior sister. Lin Moyu was also very straightforward. Okay, senior sister Gu. Gu Qingxuan asked, junior brother Lin, have you learned anything from the 5 characters? Lin Moyu didn't hide it. There is a rule in these 5 characters, but it's a bit scattered, and the time is too short, so I don't have much. For this answer, Gu Qingxuan also expected. This is also normal. After all, this is only a branch hall of the human race Temple of War, and these 5 characters are just the projection of the main hall. If you want to understand the complete lore in the future, you must go to only the main hall will do. Where is the main hall? The main hall is naturally in the central god city. Lin Moyu nodded. I will go in the future. Gu Qingxuan did not doubt Lin Moyu's words. Going to the god city is not easy. The god city is the dream of all the strong people in our human race. Countless people want to go, but there are not many who can successfully enter the god city. It's difficult to be interesting. Lin Moyu thought in his heart, but didn't say it out loud. Gu Qingxuan chuckled. Okay, let's start the first step on the road to the city of God. As they spoke, the two walked into the Temple of War God together. There is a solemn atmosphere in the Temple of War God, and a strong coercion is everywhere. In the center of the temple, there stands a huge statue thousands of meters high. Gu Qingxuan said softly, this statue is the human god of war, Xiao Zhangshan. He used to be an invincible powerhouse among our human race, and he created the Temple of War God by himself. It is said that in the main hall of the god of war in Shencheng, there is his inheritance. Gu Qingxuan wasn't sure. It should still be there, but it hasn't appeared for a long time. How could an invincible powerhouse at this level fall so easily? Perhaps retreat in a certain place and pursue a higher realm. Trivial matters in the human world are meaningless to a powerhouse of this level. What they pursue is a higher level, stronger power. Gu Qingxuan brought Lin Moyu to the statue of the god of war and saluted respectfully. This is what every human race has to do, and the human race has encountered the danger of genocide. It was Xiao Zhangshan who saved the human race from fire and water with an invincible posture. Fight for the foundation of eternal peace for the human race. Lin Moyu, like Gu Qingxuan, saluted Xiao Zhangshan respectfully. For some reason, when I was saluting, I always felt that the statue was watching me. Lin Moyu didn't find the source of the feeling. After thinking about it, he thought it might be his own illusion. After saluting, the two walked to the depths of the Temple of War God. Tick, tick. The sound of footsteps echoed in the hall, and the entire Temple of War God was incomparably safe. The closer you get to the depths, the stronger the coercion. Here, the wind is gone. There was no sound of anything but footsteps. Gu Qingxuan stopped talking and switched to the voice of the soul. Wait a while, the Temple of War God will test you. They will record your bone age, record your soul, and rate your cultivation qualifications. Don't worry, the Temple of War God will not pry into your secrets, and no one will know about all the tests except yourself. Quote, what outsiders can see is your final score. Lin Moyu understood what Gu Qingxuan meant. Don't worry, I won't keep it. Gu Qingxuan said, wait a while before the test, you have to go through the baptism of the law of the big world first, so that you can get the highest score. The higher the score, the greater the benefits, and the more opportunities to enter the city of God in the future. There are 4 levels of ratings, from high to low. They are extremely, excellent, good, and poor. Represents the 4 levels of superb, excellent, good, and unsatisfactory. You'd better get an excellent rating, and it would be even better if you got an excellent rating. G is the best, the meaning of the limit. It is the highest evaluation among the 4 grades. Lin Moyu nodded, I will work hard. In the depths of the War God Temple is an empty square. At the top of the square, you can see thousands of stars, and countless stars shine down. In the center of the square, a formation was slowly rotating, from which Lin Moyu felt enormous power. I, Nuos, myself is like an ant in front of this force, and I will be crushed at any time. In the face of the level of power from the big world, I am really too weak. The belief that you want to be stronger grows in your heart. Gu Qingxuan explained, this formation is called the Great Formation of Stars, which can gather the power of the stars and provide energy for the operation of the entire Temple of War. The Temple of the God of War is not only the Temple of Inheritance, but also the Temple of War. If there is a war, all the temples of war are the most powerful weapons of war. Lin Moyu nodded. In his sense, the War God Temple is stronger than his own God of Punishment Fortress. I am afraid that if it is activated, even the King of Gods can be killed. There is a row of stone houses behind the formation, and the stone houses are large and small. In front of the stone house, an old man sat cross-legged. He was wearing a blue gown, and he looked nothing out of the ordinary. But when Lin Moyu looked at him, he felt that he saw a high mountain, an infinitely high mountain with no edge in sight. In the next second, this feeling disappeared, and what I saw before was like an illusion. Gu Qingxuan led Lin Moyu around the formation, walked up to the old man, and respectfully saluted the old man in blue. Qingxuan met Mr. Luo. Luo Lao slowly opened his eyes, and there was a flash of light in his eyes. At this moment, Lin Moyu seemed to see that high mountain again, a giant mountain with an almost infinite height. Old Luo's voice was old and peaceful, like the wind blowing from a high mountain, passing through the dense forest, without rushing. It's Qingxuan, did you bring a newcomer this time? Gu Qingxuan said softly, yes, junior brother Lin just came out of the small world. Lin Moyu also bowed to Lao Luo at this time. Lin Moyu has met senior. Mr. Luo hummed, young people are not easy. Gu Qingxuan was taken aback for a moment. Luo Lao obviously just met Lin Moyu, and he only spoke half a sentence. How could he see that Lin Moyu is not simple? Luo Lao continued, it would not be easy for God Yi Lan to block the baptism of the Great World Law. It turned out to be the case. Gu Qingxuan knew that she was wrong. Gu Qingxuan said, old Luo, my daughter-in-law is in the day practice room. Luo Lao hummed, there are still 3 practice rooms available now. You know the rules, go and pick one yourself. Thank you, Mr. Luo. Gu Qingxuan saluted again. Luo Lao waved his hand, and said in a kind voice, go, go. The practice room is the stone house at the back. There are a total of 100 stone houses, which can accommodate hundreds of people to practice together at the same time. Judging from the base of the human race, even galaxy number 98 has at least billions of human races. Hundreds of practice rooms are a bit too small. Gu Qingxuan explained, there are 3 types of training rooms for our human race. The first is the practice room in the Renwang network, where you can understand the laws and practice. The second type is the training room on the life star, where you can cultivate and comprehend the laws, and at the same time cultivate your soul power. Because of the help of formations, the cultivation effect will be better than in the Renwang network. The third type is the practice room in the Temple of God of War. Because of the existence of the star array, the practice room in the Temple of God of War is the best, but the cost is also expensive. There is no limit to the number of practice rooms in Renwang's network, and you can apply for them at any time. For every 100 points, you can practice for 100 days. In the training room on the Life Star, you can practice for 10 days for every 100 points. In the training room in the Temple of War, 100 points can only be used for 1 day of training. The three kinds of training rooms have different effects and charges. For the same 100 points, you can only practice for 1 day in the Temple of War God, but you can practice for 100 days in the Rengao network. The difference between the most expensive and the cheapest is 100 times that of ACDI. Lin Moyu now has only 100 points in his entire property, which is only enough to stay in the training room of the Temple of War for a day. Gu Qingxuan came to the door of a practice room, but did not go in, but continued to exhort. The main purpose of renting the practice room this time is to allow you to baptize the laws of the Great World. I'll tell you about the baptism of the Great World law now, listen carefully. People who came out of the small world, because of various restrictions, most of them have not carried out the talents. After reaching the super god level, the door to the innate world has basically been closed. But when the law of the great world is baptized, the door to the innate world will open again. This is an opportunity, and the only one that will allow you to bring out your talent. After this time, the door to the talent world will be completely closed. So at that time, the master took action to prevent the baptism of the law of the great world to make you ready, and take advantage of this opportunity to move out your talent. Gu Qingxuan felt that with Lin Moyu's soul strength, luck should not be a problem. People in the small world have limited cognition, and most of them have no talent for transferring. Gu Qingxuan immediately gave the answer: if the talent has been moved out, then the law of the great world can enhance the talent. This is also your disadvantage. You will lose a chance to enhance your talent than us, but this can be made up for. The most important thing is to move the talent out. Lin Moyu didn't ask any more questions. Gu Qingxuan paid the points and opened the door of the training room. 100 points are required every day. When paying the points, Lin Moyu could clearly see the pain in Gu Qingxuan's eyes. Obviously these 100 points are not cheap. The door of the training room closed slowly. The moment the door closed, Lin Moyu felt as if he was in the boundless starry sky. The big star light carries majestic power, and the infinite law shoots from all directions, covering the entire training room. Although these laws have not yet reached the level of realization, they are already very clear. Comprehend the law here, get twice the result with half the effort. You need 100 points to use the training room for 1 day, which is worth the money. If you have enough points and can continue to practice in this environment, the speed of comprehension of the laws will be amazing. This is the first time for Lin Moyu to really feel the law of the big world. Compared with the laws in the small world, the laws of the big world are more complicated, more diverse, and more powerful. Lin Moyu took a deep breath, then calmed down and sat cross-legged. A rune was pinched out with his fingers, and with a soft sound, the isolation made by Yifeng Shen's silent words disintegrated at this moment. The isolation of the laws of the great world was done by Yifeng Shenjun, and the method of lifting was handed over to Lin Moyu early in the morning. As long as Lin Moyu needs it, he can be released at any time. The quarantine was lifted, and Lin Moyu was once again exposed to the laws of the big world. The baptism of the Great World Law has officially begun. Lin Moyu felt an unimaginable force entering his soul world, instantly penetrated the defense of the soul world, and reached the soul itself. The soul world is booming, and the soul body feels very comfortable under the bath of the laws of the Great World. The giant tree of talent reacted extremely violently, and it began to wantonly absorb the power from the Great World. It begins to grow dramatically, becoming thicker and thicker. The bigger the talent tree, the stronger the talent it brings, and it can increase Lin Moyu's soul force area more quickly. Gu Qingxuan said that most people from the small world will have one less chance to enhance their talents than people from the big world like them. Lin Moyu knows he's not on this list. My 3 talents have been moved out a long time ago, and merged into one, turning into a giant tree of talents. At this time, under the baptism of the law of the big world, it is growing rapidly. Lin Moyu really wants to know how strong his talent can be after being baptized by the laws of the great world. Suddenly, a bright golden light erupted from the depths of the soul world. This golden light was so sudden that it completely illuminated the soul world. Even the brilliance of the law of the great world is covered by it. Shenzhou Ding. Lin Moyu gave a low snort. The Shenzhou Ding, which hadn't moved its watch since getting it, suddenly moved now. The Shenzhou tripod flew from the depths of the soul, came to the edge of the giant tree of talent, and poured a lot of golden light on the giant tree of talent. The golden light is like water, watering the giant tree of talent, making the giant tree of talent grow faster. These golden lights are the power of divinity, the power of incomparably rich divinity. The giant tree of talent made a cheerful sound. It obviously liked the fifth of divinity brought by Shenzhou Jing very much. This is the second time the giant tree of talent has been watered, from the joint watering of the laws of the great world and the power of divinity. Every time the giant tree of talent is watered, it heralds a new round of growth. Thousands of branches hang down, extremely lush. Lin Moyu can feel the joy and intimacy coming from the giant tree of talent. It is one's own talent and one's own child. A willow branch entangles up, enveloping the soul itself. Then a raging flame burned on the willow branch. The purple flame burned the soul again. The soul felt severe pain, but Lin Moyu has gotten used to it. Such a little pain is nothing. In the pain, the impurities in the soul are refined again and removed. The soul becomes sharper and more powerful. At the same time, Lin Moyu also felt that a large amount of divine power was transmitted from the willow branch and entered into his soul. Crack. A slight cracking sound suddenly sounded in the soul. Lin Moyu felt light all over at the same time, as if a shackle was broken. Immediately afterwards, Lin Moyu saw the position of his soul's chest, and a white dot appeared. The white dot quickly enlarged in front of his eyes, and it turned out to be an incomparably complicated rune. The runes are flickering, continuously releasing the power of the curse. The curse of the Great World Rune. This is not the first time Lin Moyu has seen the Great World Rune, but this is the first time he has seen the Great World Rune in his body. He could tell at a glance that his rune was just a derivative of the real Big World Rune. But no matter what, its power comes from the Big World Rune, and it has a force area that ordinary people can hardly resist. The curse of the rune has been affecting him, suppressing the power of his spells, suppressing the strength of the skeletons, making his spells unable to bear the law. Now there is a crack on the rune. This crack greatly reduced the power of the curse. Lin Moyu understood, and he immediately tried to let the technique carry the law. A skeleton god warrior appeared in front of him, and Lin Moyu ejected a trace of the law of immortality, which landed on the skeleton. In the past, as long as this thread of law fell on the skeleton would collapse instantly. The spell can only use the laws it brings, and cannot carry foreign laws. This greatly reduces the power of spells. But this time, the skeleton did not collapse. It absorbed the undead law popped up by Lin Moyu, and gray-white gas appeared on its body. The breath of the skeleton exploded, breaking through the previous limit in an instant. On the surface, the level of the skeleton is still the first level of super god. This is because Lin Moyu's soul level is the first level of super gods, and it is impossible for a skeleton to exceed this limit. But the actual combat power is not like this. The law of immortality has brought stronger and more deadly attack power to the skeleton, and the dead side of the law of immortality has completely exploded. Every attack will have a strong breath of death. The skeleton god warrior is like a god of death. The law of undead also brings strong resilience to the skeleton itself. Even without the Lich General, the skeleton itself will have strong resilience. The death and life of the law of immortality are perfectly reflected in the skeleton body. I live, you die. This is the feeling that the skeleton god warrior brings to Lin Moyu. Then Lin Moyu did several more experiments. He now has 2% of the law of immortality, but the spell can only carry half of it, which is 1%. The power of the curse is still there, only weakened. But even that was enough to make him happy. Part of the power of the curse was disintegrated, so that the spell could carry the law, and his strength increased significantly. He believes that one day, the power of the curse will be completely lifted. At that time, I will be able to exert the full power of the technique. Outside the training room, Wu Qingxuan had some worries in her eyes. She worried that Lin Moyu would not be able to successfully move out his talents. If there is no talent bonus, then in the next assessment, the score will definitely not be too high. If the score is not enough, you will not be able to enter the city of God, and your future development will be limited. Although this will not affect the relationship between herself and Lin Moyu, she will not underestimate Lin Moyu because of it. I will still regard Lin Moyu as a friend. But at least a little disappointed. Is Xiao Qingxuan worried? Luo Lao's voice suddenly rang in his ears. Gu Qingxuan saw Luo Laozheng looking at her with a half-smile. Gu Qingxuan rolled her big bright eyes, and ran up to Mr. Luo with a smile. Do you know something? There was a kind smile in Luo Lao's eyes. Don't worry, his talent has been brought out, and his talent is not weak. Luo Lao sits in the Temple of War God, and he can feel the things in the Temple of War God. He also accepted the baptism of the laws of the great world, and he couldn't hide it from him whether he successfully moved out his talent. Hearing Luo Lao's words, Gu Qingxuan finally let go of her heart. As long as the talent comes out, the Juehui's assessment results will not be too bad. Luo Lao asked with a smile, is Qingxuan optimistic about him? Gu Qingxuan nodded. The first time I met junior brother Lin was in the small world. At that time, he gave me an unusual feeling, and I even gave him the jade pendant. Luo Lao understood Gu Qingxuan's meaning. He should not let you down. I hope so. Whether I can enter the city of God depends on him. Gu Qingxuan said quietly. Lin Moyu's grades are good or bad, which is related to the rewards she received and the tasks she is currently performing. If the task is done well, she will have a chance to enter the city of God. The baptism gradually ended, and the Shenzhou Ding also stopped watering. At this time, the giant talent tree has reached a height of 200 meters, with purple flames burning at its roots, and golden light flowing from its thousands of branches. The root system of the giant talent tree no longer knows where it took root, and it plunged into the inexplicable void, where it disappeared. It continuously absorbs energy, transforms it into pure soul power, and sends it to the soul. Even if he is practicing, as long as the soul level is raised, the soul power can be replenished in minutes. After the soul eats and drinks enough, the excess soul power will be dispersed into the soul world, making the soul world stronger. Lin Moyu checked his soul world. Outside the soul world, there is a solid shell, like armor, protecting the entire world. Most of the shell has become transparent, like crystal. Only a small part still looks like glass. On the soul itself, there is only a small part of gold left, and most of it has become a pressed color. Jade Soul, Crystal World. As long as this step is reached, it is a fourth-grade soul. The first rank is Super God, the second rank is True God, and the third rank is God King. The fourth-grade soul is the foundation of becoming a god, and it is also the most difficult step to become a god. Countless people are stuck at this step, and it will be difficult for thousands of years to advance. Lin Moyu has almost reached the realm of the fourth-rank soul with only the first-order super god strength. If you tell it, ghosts will not believe it. After the baptism, Lin Moyu checked his talent. Extreme, Tier 2. The spell is increased by 200 times, all members of the undead army share the damage, share life and spirit, and the damage received is reduced by 2 times. The undead army and its master will be reborn when they receive fatal damage, and they will instantly return to their peak state. The cooldown of all spells will be reset, and they can regenerate once every 50 seconds. The talent has grown to the second level. The increase of the spell directly increased from 100 times to 200 times. The damage suffered by the undead army has also been doubled and tripled. In this way, the strength of the undead army has increased by a full 4 times on the original basis. Lin Moyu's own damage reduction for elements and physics has jumped directly from 10,000 times to 40,000 times. With this level of damage reduction, Lin Moyu felt that it would be difficult for him to kill himself even at the 5th level of the True God. The cooldown of the full rebirth talent has been reduced by 5 seconds to 50 seconds. This is not a small improvement. His talent is too strong, so strong that it is terrifying. Antares said that he must never tell his talent, and in fact it is true. Lin Moyu regained his mind and returned to his calm and clear appearance again. Gu Qingxuan was waiting at the door, and when she saw Lin Moyu coming out, she immediately asked, "How is it? Has the talent moved out?" Although Mr. Luo had already given the answer, Gu Qingxuan still wanted to hear Lin Moyu's answer. Lin Moyu nodded, "Moved out. Of course the talent moved out, but it wasn't the one just moved out, and it wasn't one of them." A smile appeared on Gu Qingxuan's beautiful face. "It's good to move out, now let's do the final test." Remember what I told you, you have to go all out in the final test and try your best to achieve a high evaluation. This is very important if you want to enter the city of God in the future. Shencheng only accepts geniuses, and Shencheng will not accept anyone who is close to it. And the better Lin Moyu achieved, the better the reward for Gu Qingxuan, the guide, would be. In order for Lin Moyu to receive the best big world baptism just now, Jiang Qingxuan has already invested 100 points. If Lin Moyu's score is not good, it will be a loss. Lin Moyu kept Gu Qingxuan's words in his heart. God's city, he must go. Along the way, Gu Qingxuan has heard Gu Qingxuan mention the divine city countless times, and that is the place that all cultivators yearn for the most. Gu Qingxuan also wants to go to Shencheng, and she is working hard. Gu Qingxuan led Lin Moyu towards the final test place. After a while, the voice of talking came from a distance. Lin Moyu saw a group of people gathering there. After entering the Temple of War God, the whole journey was quiet and cold. Only here is relatively lively. Lin Moyu recognized those people, who were queuing outside the registration desk. Among them are newcomers like himself, and there are also guides like Gu Qingxuan. The arrival of Lin Moyu immediately attracted the attention of many people. At that time, in front of the Temple of War, Lin Moyu stared at the appearance of the 5 big characters, and they all saw them. There was a hint of disbelief in someone's eyes. The same person who came out of the small world, why Lin Moyu can stare at the 5 big characters, but he can't. Are you not as good as the other? They are also at the super god level, and they all came out of the small world, and they are all geniuses in the small world, with incomparable arrogance. Lin Moyu ignored their eyes, walked to the back of the line, and waited quietly. The assessment is conducted in a closed room, and nothing can be seen from the outside. Only after the assessment is over, will a final score be obtained. As for the process, it is strictly confidential. It is said that no one can peep except the god of war Xiao Zhangshan himself. The privacy of examiners is strictly protected. Gu Qingxuan pointed to the side of the examination room. Look, there is a star crystal. After the assessment is over, the star crystal will glow, indicating the results obtained. White means poor, green light means good, red light means excellent, golden light means extreme. If you want to go to Shencheng and get the evaluation, that is the most basic. If you want to grasp the big point, you must get the extreme. Lin Moyu was suddenly curious. Have you tested it? Gu Qingxuan didn't hide anything. I've passed the test, and the result is excellent. For Gu Qingxuan to become the disciple of Yifeng Shenjun, it goes without saying that his talent must be good. It is normal to get an excellent evaluation. However, Lian Gu Qingxuan has not yet been able to enter the city of God, which shows how difficult it is to enter the city of God. At this time, the golden stars lit up, revealing a touch of red light, but the red was a little faint. Gu Qingxuan explained, even if the ratings are both excellent, there are strengths and weaknesses. The thicker the light, the higher the rating in the same grade. A person like him can only be regarded as the best, the worst among the best. Just as Gu Qingxuan finished speaking, a cold voice suddenly came. No matter how bad it is, it's still excellent. I don't know what kind of evaluation you can get from the people you brought. Hearing the reputation, a man was glaring at Gu Qingxuan, with an unkind look in his eyes. Gu Qingxuan's words obviously made him feel uncomfortable. The man stared at Gu Qingxuan, looking like he wanted to compare. Gu Qingxuan said lightly, "You'll have to try it before you know." The man sneered, "I remember you. At that time, we took the task of Shencheng together. In this way, we are still competitors." Gu Qingxuan recalled it for a while, then shook her head. "I don't remember you." Gu Qingxuan is extremely beautiful. No matter where she goes, she is always eye-catching. It's normal to be remembered. Looking at that man again, although his aura is very strong, he is not weaker than Gu Qingxuan. But the appearance is too ordinary, belonging to passers-by. The man froze slightly, and his voice gradually increased. "You will remember, my name is Sheng Gaoxuan, and my name will resound throughout the city of God in the future." There was confidence in his words. Lin Moyu nodded secretly. Although this guy is a bit conceited, he is also very confident. If you want to be strong, self-confidence is the foundation. Firm belief, unyielding will, and unremitting efforts are indispensable. If you don't even have self-confidence, how can you become a strong person? Gu Qingxuan just smiled lightly and stopped talking. There is no need to argue with others. Sometimes doing is more important than talking. This point is very similar to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu and Gu Qingxuan looked at each other and smiled, each understanding what the other was thinking. The door opened and a person came out. He was slightly weak due to qi deficiency, and the law in his body was still surging violently and had not yet calmed down. Combat is the best criterion for testing strength, this saying applies everywhere. 0. After he came out, another person stood in front of the house and put his hand on the star crystal. The star crystal lightened slightly, projecting a few numbers, 98. Then the door opened and he went in. Gu Qingxuan explained, 98 is his age, and age is also a part of the assessment. Generally speaking, the younger the player with the same strength, the higher the score. Lin Moyu can understand that the same super god, the younger it is, the higher the talent and the greater the potential. Although not absolute, it is true in most cases. The super god's lifespan starts from 500 years, and every time he rises to a level, his lifespan increases by 100 years. 98 years old, quite young for a super god. Lin Moyu saw a trace of astonishment in the eyes of several people. They were obviously that the other party would be so young. It's not more than 100 years old, not bad. His guide was very satisfied. Gu Qingxuan also whispered, it's indeed quite young. If you can reach a super god before the age of 100, it's considered average in the big world. Lin Moyu asked, at what age do people in the big world usually reach super god? Gu Qingxuan thought for a while, it's hard to say, there is a big difference. It is not bad to be able to reach the super god before the age of 100, but if you can reach the super god before the age of 80, it is a genius. It is said that there are some geniuses in the city of gods who can reach super gods before the age of 50. Lin Moyu thought of her own small world. At the most dangerous time, the recovery of the power of the world can make an ordinary person reach the god level within a few years. But this approach is a bit like counterproductive growth, which is detrimental to the future. People in the big world will definitely not do this, so it is indeed very strong to be able to reach a super god at the age of 50. Gu Qingxuan did not ask Lin Moyu's age, anyway, he will know in a while, so there is no need to ask. 3 hours later, the star crystal lit up again. The red light illuminates the surroundings, which is also an excellent evaluation, but it is brighter than the red light of the person just now. Excellent, above average. His excerpt made people couldn't help shouting, very excited. The look in the eyes became a little proud. He can get a lot of benefits by being able to attract an excellent talent. Although everyone is excellent, there are also strong and weak points. In fact, the human race is fully capable of subdividing, but it has not been subdivided. Lin Moyu can probably understand why it is no longer subdivided. This is only a temporary evaluation, and no one knows the future. If you really want to subdivide, then you don't have to compare in the future. It depends on who is more talented. Talent is only one aspect. In actual combat, it also depends on the comprehensive strength of various aspects such as combat experience and skills in using spells. 1 by 1 for assessment, the results are mostly good. There are very few excellent ones. And even if a few people got excellent, they were only inferior. The red light revealed on the star crystal is extremely weak. But as long as someone gets the honor, it will make his usher excited. At the same time, you can also gain the envious eyes of others. Not to mention others, sometimes Gu Qingxuan would show a little envy. Lin Moyu found that most of these people were between 95 and 200 years old. The strength is also between the first level of super god and the third level of super god. Moreover, he discovered that even the third order super god may not necessarily get a high evaluation. Explain that the assessment has nothing to do with the current strength, he will give different scores according to different strengths. Finally, it was Lin Moyu's turn. Sheng Gaoxuan teased, little guy, let's see you. Half of what he said was for Gu Qingxuan. Gu Qingxuan snorted softly, and said to Lin Moyu, don't be nervous, just follow the instructions when you get inside. Lin Moyu smiled, don't worry. He knew that something that shocked everyone was about to happen soon. The first thing is his age. Lin Moyu can't even remember his own age. Are you 28 or 29 years old this year? Anyway, less than 30. When comprehending the law, time passed in a bit of chaos. Lin Moyu didn't bother to count. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Moyu put his hand on the star crystal. A group of numbers suddenly jumped out. 28. 2 figures, I. Gu Qingxuan couldn't help but let out an exclamation, her eyes were full of disbelief. Everyone is gasping for air. Impossible, it's impossible to be 28, how could it be 28? The 28-year-old super god is unheard of, even those evildoers in the city of gods can't reach it. The star crystal must be broken, this guy is at least 128 years old. Yes, it must be so, the star crystal must be broken. No one believes Lin Moyu's age, 28 years old super god, really never heard of it. Lin Moyu knew that this would be the case, and didn't pay any attention to their surprise, and walked directly into the examination room. The door closed with a slight roar. At this time, the space was slightly distorted. Luo Lao appeared in front of everyone, heard the messy sound, frowned slightly, shut up. All shut up immediately. Luo Lao was guarding the Temple of War, and his strength was unfathomable. None of them dare not listen. Luo Lao glanced at the number on the star crystal. Who is going in? Gu Qingxuan immediately replied, it's Lin Moyu. Luo Lao nodded, yes, there is a reason for it. Then Luo Lao glanced over everyone. People can be confident, but they can't be ignorant. Go and read the God of War records when you have time. After finishing speaking, Luo Lao's figure disappeared. It took a while for everyone to come back to their senses. What does Mr. Luo mean? The record of the God of War, isn't that the book that records the life and deeds of the God of War? Why make us watch this? Gu Qingxuan reacted extremely quickly and immediately entered Renwang's network. All the information of the human race is stored in the Renwang network, and the public departments can be queried at will. Gu Qingxuan quickly found the God of War record, and after flipping through it for a while, her eyes widened. Master God of War is also at the age of 28, becoming a super god. Gu Qingxuan couldn't believe it. Not only her, but also some people went to check the record of God of War, and they all showed incredulous expressions. Old Luo means that this kid can stand shoulder to shoulder with Lord God of War. Don't be kidding, a lucky guy who has just come out of the small world, how can he stand shoulder to shoulder with Lord God of War? What is the identity of Lord God of War, and this kid deserves to be compared with Lord God of War? In any case, he did reach the super god level at the age of 28, which shows that his potential is indeed not bad. Everyone was talking and arguing endlessly. Gu Qingxuan hadn't come back to her senses at this time, she was quite shaken. Unexpectedly, the talent I befriended on a whim would be so high. She is very confident now that it should not be a big problem for Lin Moyu to get the superior evaluation. Extreme is also possible. In the assessment room, Lin Moyu was once again in the starry sky. It was exactly the same as the starry sky seen in the training room. However, the starry sky in the practice room is simulated by the formation method, and the starry sky here is virtualized by the Renwang network. A reality, a virtual, both seem to be the same, substantially different. A large number of alien races appeared in the starry sky. Among these alien races are Zerg, Wild Beast, and Tauren that Lin Moyu has seen. There are also many races that Lin Moyu has not seen. Some races look like weeds, swaying in the starry sky. There are also races that are just a ball with sharp teeth growing on it. Lin Moyu glanced over, and there happened to be 100 aliens. One for each race. From the aura emanating from them, these alien races are all of the first level of super gods, which is equal to their own level. Knowing that these alien races are only virtualized by Renwang network, but they are too real, and it is still difficult for people to distinguish between real and fake. These alien races stood in the starry sky, motionless, like targets. The examiner is asked to use spells to destroy alien targets. The more destroyed, the higher the score. The time limit is 30 minutes. A mechanical voice sounded, telling Lin Moyu what to do. Lin Moyu understands that these virtual aliens, except that they cannot attack, their vitality and defense are exactly the same as in reality. The score is high or low, it depends on how fast you kill. Since he is in Renwang network, Lin Moyu can have no scruples. He remembered Gu Qingxuan's advice, let go of his hands and feet, and tried his best to get as high a score as possible. The city of God must be visited, and Lin Moyu also has the pursuit and yearning for power. Whether it is for his own small world or for his sleeping wife, Lin Moyu will not let up in the slightest. With a single finger, the undead world descends. Della spell, undead gaze. The starry sky suddenly dimmed, and the bright starlight was covered with a layer of grey mist. The 100,000-meter undead eyes opened and stared at the opponent. In an instant, aliens died. Renwang's network is very miraculous. In this virtual world, his own spells are 100% restored. The effect is almost the same as in the real world. Undead gaze can instantly kill existences of the same level, unless the opponent's soul defense is very strong, otherwise they will not be able to escape. After the first alien figure, the massacre officially started. Lin Moyu's soul locks on the target, and unfolds the technique, corpse explosion. The corpses burst and blasted away all the way. In the blink of an eye, countless aliens died. In Lin Moyu's view, it's just a mere 100. It can be destroyed with a wave. In the small world, he doesn't pay attention to tens of millions of enemies. What is 100? Not enough warm-up. There is no need to use other techniques, and there is no need to use method tests. It's just 2 spells, within 5 seconds before and after, all of them have been killed. 5 seconds later, there were only pieces of corpses left in the starry sky. The smell of blood pervades the starry sky. This smell comes from the soul, and can instantly cover a large starry sky. I didn't expect that even the smell of blood can be simulated. The Renwang network is really strong. Lin Moyu said in his heart. But at this time, Renwang's network seemed to be stuck, and there was no sound for a while. After waiting another 5 seconds, I finally got a response. Preparing for the second round of testing, please wait a moment. 10 minutes later, a large number of alien races appeared in the starry sky again. The number of races has not changed, still hundreds of different races. The number has not changed, it is still 100. It's just that the strength of the alien target has changed, from the first level of supergods to the second level of supergods. At the supergod level, every time one level is raised, the strength changes drastically. Among them, the defense power must be doubled or tripled at least. But for Lin Moyu, it's useless. When he was in the deep space, killing supergod level 5 monsters was like chopping melons and vegetables. What's more, now that he has been baptized by the laws of the great world, his talent has been greatly enhanced. Techniques can also carry laws, and their strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. The second level of supergod is in front of him, and it can be destroyed easily. The examiner is asked to use spells to destroy alien targets. The more destroyed, the higher the score. The time limit is 30 minutes. The same prompt as before sounded. Lin Moyu chuckled, it won't take 30 minutes, not even 1 minute. The world of the undead comes again. But it's very different from last time. A grey-white air mass appeared in the undead world, which was the law of undead. In the soul world, the magic star belonging to Death Gaze is also surrounded by grey and white air masses. Lin Moyu used the law of undead to integrate 1% of the law of undead into the magic star of Undead Gaze. With the integration of the law of immortality, the attack power of Undead Gaze suddenly increased several times. The breath of death appeared in the soul attack. In an attack, the soul is corroded, rapidly decaying. Almost instantly, several alien targets were instantly killed. Then there was a roar that resounded through the starry sky. Corpse Burst is the most unreasonable of all Lin Moyu's spells. Its power is entirely determined by the vitality of the corpse. The stronger the corpse, the greater its power. Lin Moyu thought that if he could get the corpse of an invincible strongman, he could kill another invincible strongman. The same is true now. If there is a corpse of the second-order supergod, then it can kill other second-order supergods. A few seconds later, the starry sky fell into silence again. Preparation for the third test, etc. Lin Moyu smiled slightly when he heard the prompt. This time it should be the third level of supergod. After 2 tests, Lin Moyu already knew the way of assessment. It is to constantly challenge the upper limit and finally get the corresponding score. Soon, the third test began. Except that the level of the target has been raised to the third level of supergod, nothing else has changed. At the third level of supergod, you can no longer use Undead Gaze to kill in seconds. Lin Moyu added new spells. Filled with red light, fusion spell, Curse of Time. Undead Gaze, combined with Curse of Time, caused huge damage to the soul. Almost instantaneously kills a third-order supergod target. As long as one dies, the rest will be easy. It was another unreasonable bombing, and the audience was quickly cleared. The time still hasn't changed, it's still more than 10 seconds. Renwang Network's notification sounded again, and preparations for the 4th test began. Soon, the target of the 4th-order supergod appeared. Except that the level of the target has been raised to the 4th level of supergod, there is no change in the rest. This time, just relying on Undead Gaze and Curse of Time is not enough to kill them. Lin Moyu also had to use other techniques. In the Soul world, gray-white air clusters appeared on many spell stars. The technique carries the lore, and its power is greatly improved. After cracks appeared in the Great World Curse in the Soul and the power of the curse weakened, among all the spells, the summoning spells benefited the most. The strength of skeletons has been greatly increased. Even if you don't rely on talent bonuses, you still have the power of the first level of super gods, but you are just the weakest existence in the first level of super gods. After getting the talent and the bonus of Lich General, he can even defeat the powerhouse of the second order super god. Now being integrated into the lore of immortality, the skeletons have almost the same combat power as the first order super gods. With the combat power of the third level super god, it only takes a little time to kill the fourth level super god. This time Lin Moyu took 1 minute to kill the first alien target. Another indiscriminate bombardment. Corpse exploding, it's just that unreasonable. Unless Lin Moyu's body is not given, Lin Moyu will be able to blow up the world. Beginning to approach the limit. Lin Moyu looked at the empty void, waiting for the fifth test to come. He probably knows that the limit of his combat power is almost the sixth level of Super God. Going up, even though the other party can't kill him, it's also very difficult for him to kill the other party. Lin Moyu is also a little helpless about this. Attack power and defense power are not directly proportional. In the final analysis, it was still because of the curse of the Great World Rune. The curse greatly suppressed the power of spells. If the curse can disappear, Lin Moyu feels that he can be completely invincible in the Super God realm. Although he can now walk sideways in the Super God realm, he is still not invincible. Unless you can give him a corpse of the same level, then you can ignore the level and kill the doctor all the way. The fifth test began. Facing the target of the Super God level 5, Lin Moyu summoned the Skeleton General. After the Skeleton God will integrate into the lore of immortality, he will have an attack power comparable to the fourth order Super God. It took a few minutes to grind down a Super God level 5 target, and then the corpse exploded to clear the battlefield. When in the sixth game, the target who reached the sixth level of Super God appeared, Lin Moyu really felt tricky. Death Dragon Knight, Skeleton General, Skeleton Fang, Undead Gaze, Time Curse. All kinds of spells were thrown out. Including that he threw 2% of the lore of immortality on the target, using the death in the lore to corrupt the target. The defensive power of the 6th level Super God is too strong, and his attacks have little effect. The test time limit was 30 minutes, and it wasn't until the 28th minute that Lin Moyu barely managed to kill a foreign target. With the body, skimming is next. After some indiscriminate bombing, the opponent was finally cleared before the end of the test time. Lin Moyu knew that he had really reached his limit. It is impossible to pass the 7th test again. But he also knew that his grades must have been good. Others estimated that it would be almost enough to kill the third game. It might not even kill the third game. How difficult is the challenge of surpassing the 6th level, only the parties themselves know. While waiting, the 7th assessment began. Facing the target of the 7th level Super God, Lin Moyu really couldn't move. Any spell falling on the target is like tickling him, and it can't break through the defense at all. Lin Moyu launched the Strength Soldiers technique, which increased the damage by an additional 500%. But still useless. One step away is a world of difference. Lin Moyu also realized another significance of this assessment. It is to let you know where your limit is and how much you are. When you're outside, don't try to kill yourself. As long as you live, with good money, there is hope. Once dead, there is nothing left. This way of teaching, Lin Moyu feels, is very useful. 30 minutes passed, and all the alien targets disappeared. There was another notification sound in the void. The first round of assessment is over, and the second round of assessment will start in 10 minutes. Please prepare for the assessment. The second round of assessment. The first round is about attack power. Then the second round of the test should be defensive power, or actual combat. Both are possible. Lin Moyu thought of those examiners before. When they came out, there were traces of a battle. Obviously, there will inevitably be a big battle during the assessment. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. A huge figure appeared in front of Lin Moyu's eyes. Not a target, but a real alien. Its upper body is human, holding a 5-meter-long gun. The lower body is in the shape of a horse, with 4 hooves, and blazing flames are burning on the hooves. In the first assessment of the second round, kill the enemy in front of you. A mechanical notification sound came, without the slightest emotion. Lin Moyu suspected that this was done on purpose, otherwise even puppets would have feelings. The first test of the second round: kill the enemy in front of you, or not be killed within 30 minutes. Just a simple sentence, without any other information. As the voice fell, the battle began immediately. The half-man, half-horse foreign race, stepping on the flames, charged forward with Jian Wu's long spear. The speed is very fast, like a shooting star, leaving a long trail in the starry sky. It doesn't have a breath all over its body, and it can't judge its strength level. But Lin Moyu could feel that the other party locked his soul. The wings of the undead spread, cutting off the soul lock, and Lin Moyu walked away in an instant. At the same time, a detection technique flew out. It has become Lin Moyu's instinct to use the combat technique before fighting. I don't know if this is the case in other small worlds, at least Lin Moyu is used to it. In my own small world, there is such a saying, indecision detection technique. Probe quickly returned the message. Centaur. Level, Supergod realm. Characteristics, extremely fast, good at manipulating the law of fire elements, be careful with their hooves. Lin Moyu found that the detection technique was different. As he entered the Great World and was baptized by the laws of the Great World, the detection technique also underwent some slight changes. This change is very ingenious, and only the user can experience it. From the outside, the detection technique no longer has a breeze, as if it directly acts on the target. That feeling is like the soul is locked. Lin Moyu doesn't know whether it is the same in reality, or just because he is in the virtual world of Renwang Network. The detection technique did not give the specific level of the opponent, but only obtained the fact that the opponent is in the Supergod realm. The moment Lin Moyu dodged, the centaur's attack had landed on Lin Moyu's original position. The starry sky exploded, and the huge aura of law burst out. When he was attacking, his aura was not obvious, but it erupted in full force at the moment the attack arrived. In this way, it is more powerful and more difficult to defend. Lin Moyu was vigilant. This is not a target, nor is it a monster. Alien races, like us humans, also have extremely strong combat capabilities. Don't take it lightly. Lin Moyu warned himself in his heart, not to take it lightly just because he has a defense power that surpasses the supergod. Judging from the centaur's attack, it is almost the attack power of a supergod. But the centaur's speed is very fast, it has surpassed the first level of supergod, and should have reached the level of second level of supergod. This is also in line with the information returned by the detection technique. After dodging an attack, Lin Moyu did not continue to pester. This is an assessment, and we need to hurry up. With a single finger, the undead world descends into the starry sky. The eyes of the undead opened and stared at the centaur. The huge soul attack was launched suddenly, without giving the centaur a chance to launch a second attack. It was instantly killed. Lin Moyu heard his screams before dying. The Renwang network is so real that it can even express the pain of the soul. Before the centaur died, the ferocious expression was vivid. In the second round, the first test was passed, and the second test will be held in 10 minutes, please prepare. The emotionless mechanical sound sounded again. Lin Moyu guessed that the second test should be a second-order alien race. In this way, he is sure that he has passed more than a dozen tests. Don't even think about killing him, even if it's the 9th level of Supergod. Even if you can't kill your opponent, as long as you can survive for 30 minutes, you will pass. It's just that Lin Moyu doesn't know whether Renwang Network can show its comprehensive new talent. After all, my talent is too perverted, even the soul can be reborn, and the soul world can be completely restored after being destroyed. In Antares' long life, he had never heard of such a gift. 10 minutes later, the second test began. The second round of the second test: kill the enemy in front of you, or not be killed within 30 minutes. A mass of weeds appeared in front of him. Weeds look just like weeds anywhere else. It's exactly the same except it's bigger and thicker. Lin Moyu can even see the opponent's root system, rooted in the void. The detection technique flew out. Tar Grass Clan. Level, Supergod Realm. Characteristics: it has extremely strong vitality, can hide in the void, and is not easy to be killed. Lin Moyu, ACDI, thought of a sentence: the wildfire is endless, and the spring breeze blows and regenerates. Plant-type races generally have extremely strong vitality, just like plant-type monsters. But in the face of strangulation at the soul level. Before Lin Moyu could wait for Stargrass to make a move, the eyes of the undead had already stared over. This time, grey and white air appeared in the eyes of the undead. The law of undead is integrated into it, greatly increasing the attack power. Before the Star Grass clan could launch an attack, they were instantly killed. In less than a second before and after the battle, it was over. Even if the Star Grass clan can hide the seeds in the void, they can retain the last trace of vitality. But once the soul is strangled, it is also impossible to survive. The soul is the foundation of everything, and it is the same for any race. The second round, the second test passed, and the third test will be held in 10 minutes, please prepare. The emotionless beep sounded again. The next game should be the third level of Super God. Undead Gaze, Time Curse should be able to kill opponents. Using the Skeleton God Warrior, after blessing the law, you can also carry out siege. After Lin Moyu thought about it, he decided to use the simplest method. Thousands of undead core appeared beside them, each of them integrated into the law of immortality, coupled with the bonus of General Wu, possess the combat power of the third level of the Super God. With them, Lin Moyu feels he can rest. 10 minutes later, another alien appeared. Possesses the combat power of the third level of Super God. The moment the test started, the undead army swarmed up. All kinds of attacks, with the destructive aura of the law of immortality, devoured it. Spike. Another spike. Fight without suspense. Soon, the fourth test began. To this end, Lin Moyu summoned the Death Dragon Rider. As the second-ranked unit in the undead army, thousands of Death Dragon Knights, spraying dragon breath, instantly wiped out their opponents. In the fifth game, Lin Moyu used the Skeleton General. This time, there was no instant kill. Thousands of skeleton generals surrounded the opponent and killed him after more than 10 seconds of indiscriminate bombardment. The first 5 rounds passed smoothly. For Lin Moyu, whether it is a target or not makes little difference. Anyway, he was either instantly killed or beaten to death. Until the beginning of the sixth game, it caused a little trouble for Lin Moyu. Tar Python. Level, Super God Realm. Characteristics, it has extremely strong defense against elemental laws and physical laws. The alien race in the sixth scene is a boa constrictor with a body length of more than 6,000 meters. Huge boa constrictors entangled in the starry sky, bringing a strong sense of oppression and terror in the fields. But Lin Moyu didn't feel it at all. Size doesn't mean strength. Good and bad always have two sides. The bigger the body, the stronger the attack power, but the same, the wider the area to be attacked. Lin Moyu's heart moved, and 10,000 skeleton generals appeared in the starry sky, plus 10,000 dead dragon knights. They swarmed up, surrounded the starry sky python, and began to besiege and kill them. The starry sky python fought back violently, its huge body brought out terrifying power, blasting the skeleton general into the air, but it was unable to kill the skeleton general. Under the siege of the skeleton god general and the death dragon knight, it couldn't rush to attack Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu continued to sway the law of immortality, which corroded its body with a deadly breath of death. Surrounded by the skeleton god general and the death dragon knight, the starry sky python persisted for 25 minutes before being killed with frustration. Lin Moyu had expected this result a long time ago. Just like hitting a target, the sixth level of Super God is the limit of his attack power. If he goes any higher, he won't be able to move. He knew that starting from the final assessment, he had to switch roles. From how to kill the opponent, to how to keep your life, survive 30 minutes. This point is very simple for Lin Moyu, even easier. As the seventh test began, Lin Moyu released the undead army again. This time there are no skeleton generals or death dragon knights. A total of 1.49 million undead legions almost filled the starry sky. Lin Moyu is at the center of the army. If you want to kill Lin Moyu, you must kill the undead army first. But the undead army is not so easy to kill. The foreign race that just appeared was stunned, and he felt helpless. Through the perspective of the undead, Lin Moyu saw this alien race. Bull Demon Race. Level, Super God Realm. Characteristics, possess extremely strong physical attack power, good at physical law engineering. This foreign race was very similar to the foreign god who confronted the Yifeng god when he had just left the small world. Lin Moyu now knows that the other party is called Niu Mozu, and he has a pair of horns, which is really very impressive. The bull demons are good at using physical laws, and their weapons are also very heavy. The fictitious bull demon in front of him is wielding a huge axe. Every time the axe is struck, it seems to split the starry sky. Huge forces exploded wantonly in the starry sky, hundreds of thousands of skeletons were blown away every time. But immediately there will be more skeletons coming up. It is almost trapped there. It is difficult to move forward. The attacks of the undead fell on it, just like scratching an itch, causing no harm at all. Whether it is a physical attack, an elemental attack, or a soul attack, the effect is the most similar. Lin Moyu tried to use the curse of time, with the gaze of the undead. At most, it can only have some influence on him and make him feel pain. The result only made him crazier. Simply Lin Moyu also gave up attacking, just let the undead army surround him. The bull demon attacked frantically, swinging the axe non-stop, and the aura of law spread in the starry sky. No matter how he attacks, he cannot break away from the siege of the undead army. There are too many undead legions, a total of 1.49 million, and I don't know how many layers surrounded him. After 30 minutes, the test is over. The bull demon turned into a ball of starlight and disappeared from sight. As always, the beep sounded, and the 8th test will be held in 10 minutes. Lin Moyu didn't put away the undead army, anyway, he had to release it again later, so he didn't bother to bother. 10 minutes later, the 8th test began. The undead army followed suit and surrounded them without artistry. This style of play is almost rogue. I can't kill you, and you don't want to kill me. Anyway, the rule is to either kill the opponent or not be killed by the opponent within 30 minutes. Lin Moyu is just doing things according to the rules. Outside the examination room, a group of people were getting impatient. For the assessment of normal people, the quick one is more than an hour, and the slow one is only 2 or 3 hours. It has been half a day since Lin Moyu went in, more than 8 hours. This situation, they have never seen. What's going on here? This kid has been in for so long, why hasn't the assessment been over yet? Could it be that the younger you are, the longer the assessment time? Don't guess, all assessment rules are the same. In this way, there is only one possibility. He spends a lot of time in every test, or it doesn't make sense at all. Gu Qingxuan was a little apprehensive when she heard the discussion. She didn't know what happened in the examination room and why it took so long. Everything that happened in the examination room was kept strictly confidential, and no one could know. So it's useless for her to worry, she can only wait. In the assessment room, an extremely complex formation is in operation. Lin Moyu stood in the center of the formation, his eyes were closed, and his consciousness had completely entered the Renwang network. His assessment is still going on. In Renwang's network, blazing flames burned the starry sky. All the undead were trapped in the sea of flames, and the Lich General frantically treated them. Even in the flames, the undead army was still intact. Lin Moyu saw the enemy this time, it was a mass of flames. In the center of the flames, there is a huge stone. All flames spread from this stone. The detection technique still gives the corresponding information. Magic Stone Clan. Level, True God Realm. Characteristics: the Magic Stone Tribe is born with the ability to control elements, and automatically controls the laws of the corresponding elements when they become adults. 10 seconds ago, Lin Moyu's new assessment officially started. The 10th test in the second round: kill the enemy in front of you, or not be killed within 30 minutes. The second assessment has reached the 10th. 0. Ask for flowers. This time, Moyu was facing Duomen, the first-order true god. The opponents of the first-level true gods are much stronger than the 9th-level super gods. Across a large realm, the strength has doubled. The moment it appeared, the law of fire enveloped the entire starry sky, almost devouring the entire undead army. The law of fire is very powerful, but it is still not enough to kill the undead army. Element resistance, fusion 100%, passive spells, self and summoned objects are immune to all elemental attacks, and the damage to all elemental types is reduced by 2 times. The talent is baptized by the law of the great world, and the effect is greatly improved. The undead army can reduce the damage of the elemental law by 200 times. Even the laws of the true god realm are powerful enough to cause a lot of damage to the undead army. However, General Lich spared no effort to heal the undead army, and still allowed the undead army to survive well. Not to mention Lin Moyu himself, he still has the passive trap of damage transfer. It can reduce all damage by 1 time, counting talent is 200 times. The 2 techniques interacted with each other, and the final damage reduction had reached an astonishing 40,000 times. 40,000 points of damage fell on Lin Mo, and only 1 point was to be borne by the undead army in the end. This kind of abnormal defense is Lin Moyu's greatest confidence. The Magic Stone Clan seems to have no other means of attack other than using the law of the elements. 30 minutes passed quickly, and Lin Moyu made it through again. 10 minutes later, the second-tier opponent of the true god appeared on the stage. Lin Moyu narrowed his eyes slightly. This time it was the Desolate Beast clan. The detection technique pops up immediately. Desolate Beast race. Level, True God realm. Characteristics, naturally immune to all normal attacks. To kill them, you must use laws. The Desolate Beast in front of him is extremely huge with a body size of more than 100 meters. The hairs on the head hung down one by one, a total of 19. The Wild Beast Emperor has 9 hairs, which represent the Super God realm. After that, every time you upgrade one level, you will get one more hair. Until the 18th, you will become a true god. The 19 roots are exactly the second level of the true god realm. After the Wild Beast King appeared, he let out a soul roar. The soul attack came with a bang, and Lin Moyu's soul quality was already close to the 4th rank. The strength of the soul is enough to rival the God King. The soul attack of the second level of the true god is not taken seriously by him at all. When it roared, the undead army had already surrounded it, protecting it tightly. The desolate beasts of the second rank of the true god rampage surrounded by the undead army. Its hair is whipped like a whip, and every time it is whipped, it will burst out with amazing power. Inexplicable laws are entwined on it, and the attack power is astonishingly strong. The bones of the skeleton that was hit by the whip broke immediately, and its body was smashed to pieces. But in the next second, under the action of undead spirit, the shattered skeleton quickly reorganized and returned to its original state. The desolate beast of the second level of the true god, its attack power has reached the limit that the skeletons can bear. Lin Moyu's heart moved, the skeletons retreated, and the Death Knight and the skeleton dragon rushed up to replace the skeletons. Death Knights and skeleton dragons are much stronger than skeletons in terms of defense, barely blocking the attack of wild beasts. As long as they are not killed by one blow, General Lich can quickly cure them. In this way, no matter how crazy the wild beast's attack is, they can't break free from the siege of the undead army, let alone threaten Lin Moyu. 380. Lin Moyu seemed to understand another purpose of this assessment. It seems to be demonstrating to me the attack methods of various races. Although there are corresponding materials in Renwang's network, if you want to conduct a simulated battle, you need to charge a fee. And now, this opportunity is free. The corners of Lin Moyu's mouth raised slightly. Naturally, this kind of free opportunity should not be wasted. The 30 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The desolate beasts disappeared, and Lin Moyu also began to prepare for the next assessment. In the next game, he will face the third-order enemy of the true god. The attack power of the third level of the true god will completely exceed the limit that the undead army can bear. But after a short consideration, Lin Moyu still decided to use the siege tactics of the undead army. He wanted to see where the limit of the undead army was. The third level of the true god, can you beat your own undead army to complete collapse? The 12th test of the second round, kill the enemy in front of you, or not be killed within 30 minutes. A figure appeared in front of him, its wings spread out loudly, and the starlight dimmed accordingly, giving Lin Moyu a feeling of covering the sky and the sun. Bloodlines. This person is exactly the same as the blood race he has seen, except that he has a thinner body and bigger wings. With his appearance, there seems to be a bloody smell spreading in the starry sky. Bloodlines. Level, True God Realm. Characteristics, bloodlines can combine their own blood with the bloodlines of other races to create blood slaves. Remember not to be bitten by its teeth. The blood race launched an attack the moment it appeared. He shook his wings and swayed countless sharp blades. The sharp blades were transformed by laws and were extremely powerful. His attack power has completely surpassed the limit of the undead army, and he will not stimulate the talent of full connection, which can directly kill the undead army. Even the skeleton dragon can't stop its attack. The undead army fell down like leeks, but in the next second, the undead army was resurrected intact. Undead's magic star, blooming with brilliant light, continues to run. Each skeleton has 5 chances to be reborn within 3 minutes. Only when you die for the 6th time will you really die. Lin Moyu had expected this a long time ago, so he was unmoved and just watched quietly. Soon, a group of undead legions completed their mission and collapsed in the 6th death. A large number of light spots disappeared in the 8-star magic star of the summoning class. At least more than 100,000 undead really died. However, less than 5 minutes had passed since the test started. Based on this calculation, when the test is over, at least half of the undead army will die. Lin Moyu is here to test the limits, not really to die. With a heart move, a new Shugode warrior was summoned. The magic linkage mechanism is activated, and the 8 magic stars light up at the same time. In an instant, the skeleton god mage, the Death Knight, and the skeleton dragon appeared one after another, and the speed of their appearance was astonishingly fast. The whole process is done automatically, without Lin Moyu lifting a finger. It was the first time that the undead army was supplemented, and the effect was amazing. Another batch of undead legions were killed, but the newborn undead legions have been replenished. The speed of replenishment is too fast, only a little slower than the killing speed of the blood race. The blood race kills quickly, and Lin Moyu is not slow to replenish troops. Until 30 minutes had passed, the undead army had hardly decreased. The result of this test is very good. Lin Moyu is very satisfied. The undead army can make up while fighting, and the limit is very rich. Try it, the 4th level True God. Lin Moyu's heart moved, ready to see if he could block the 4th level True God's combat power. He has turned this test into his own experimental ground. During the 10 minutes of waiting, the undead army has been completely replenished, and has returned to the full state of 1.49 million. Soon, a new opponent appeared in front of him. The opponent of the 4th Order True God appeared in the starry sky. This time it was a demon. Not the kind of demon in the Abyss world, but a real demon. Demon race. Level, True God realm. Characteristics, possesses the blood of the devil, and the combat power is among the top. The fighting power of the demon clan is very powerful, and it can be called invincible among its peers. After it appeared, he stared at Lin Moyu through the undead army. The demon's eyes were extremely fierce, bloodthirsty and cruel. Renwang network is too True God, it is exactly the same as a real devil. The demon let out a roar and punched out. The starry sky vibrated violently, and a gigantic fist appeared in the starry sky, covering the sky and covering the earth. With one punch, nearly half of the undead army died. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. The power of this punch was beyond his imagination. How can there be such a big difference between the 4th level of True God and the 3rd level of True God? Or is it because the other party is a demon that the difference is so huge? The dead undead was revived in the next second, but the devil's 2nd and 3rd punches had been blasted out in succession. The newly resurrected undead army died again. Lin Moyu's eyes have completely changed. If this continues, the undead army will not be able to last for a few minutes. The lethality of demons has completely surpassed the ability of the undead army. The speed of killing is too fast, and I can't replenish it at all. The undead wings vibrated, Lin Moyu flew up, turned into a human shield, and blocked the demon attack for the undead army. The demon's original target was Lin Moyu. When he saw Lin Moyu coming, he immediately launched a fierce attack on Lin Moyu. The undead army took the opportunity to disperse quickly, and the Lich General quickly treated them. The joining of Lin Moyu immediately stabilized the situation. Lin Moyu's own defense is much greater than the cuteness of the undead army. After it has been weakened many times, the attack of the demons still cannot cause the undead army to collapse at the same time. The Lich General was fully healed in time. Lin Moyu blessed himself with bone armor. The bone armor activated the spell linkage again. For a moment, the demon was surrounded by white light. Bone prison, bone fangs, and bone spear keep appearing on it. As long as his attack on Lin Moyu stops, the counterattack of bone magic will not stop. Lin Moyu is a hedgehog. As long as you touch me, you will be hurt. Although bone spells cannot cause harm to demons, they can still more or less harass them. In addition, Lin Moyu used various spells in turn. The level of helplessness is too different. The difference between the two exceeds one big realm, plus 3 small realms. Lin Moyu's attack had no effect on him. Lin Moyu is also very sure that it is also impossible to kill himself with the 4th level attack of the True God. Lin Moyu was solidly used as a meat shield. In front of the demons of the 4th rank of the True God, he was beaten indiscriminately for nearly 30 minutes. Lin Moyu was not relieved until the demon disappeared. The next game will be the 5th level of Super God, and he doesn't know if he can hold it. But he already had an idea and thought of how to deal with it. Now is the assessment, how long it can be delayed counts. Renwang network seems to have even simulated the infinite starry sky. This space is really huge. The undead army has completely dispersed, and the distance between each other exceeds a kilometer. Some have become invisible to the naked eye. Even if you see it, it's just a few dots. When the test started, Lin Moyu saw the alien race appearing in front of him. Zerg. Lin Moyu was startled. It was Zerg that appeared this time. This is a bug with a length of more than 10,000 meters and hundreds of pairs of giant feet. Each giant foot is 100 meters long, and looks like a sharp serrated knife. There are 10 pairs of compound eyes on the Zerg's head, looking towards Lin Moyu. Cold, heartless, bloody. ... All kinds of situations flooded my mind in an instant. Lin Moyu sensed the danger instinctively. While using the detection technique, the undead wings vibrated and moved away crazily. There was a sharp cry from behind. A beam of light spewed out from the worm's mouth, and landed on the body with incomparable accuracy. The body received a huge impact instantly, pushing him flying tens of thousands of meters. The attack contains a double blow of physical and soul. The soul world was shaking, but fortunately, the quality of the soul was high enough and the defense was strong enough to block the attack. The body exudes a faint white light, which weakens the damage and transfers it to the undead army. The undead army received a fatal blow in an instant, collapsed in an instant, and then revived. What a powerful attack. The attack power of the 5th level super god has increased several times again, enough to completely collapse the undead army. In this way, as long as you attack continuously, you can activate your talent. Lin Moyu knew it well, so he chose to retreat as soon as the battle started. Procrastinate as much as possible. At this time, the detection technique finally sent back the information. Star-devouring Zerg. Level, True God Realm. Characteristics, star-eating Zerg known for their numbers, among which the elite Zergs also have amazing combat power. Don't be surrounded by Zerg, otherwise it will be very dangerous. Lin Moyu looked at the information and knew what was going on. He had peeked into the Zerg structure and seen the brood. Know that a brood can control countless bugs. Once surrounded by them, there will be no bones left. There are also ordinary war worms and elite war worms in the worms. The strength of the elite war worms is at the same level, and they are not weak. Lin Moyu was thinking in his heart, while vibrating the wings of the undead, he moved rapidly in the starry sky. Huge worms chased and attacked Lin Moyu. Undead wings cut off the soul lock, allowing Lin Moyu to avoid most of the attacks. Only occasionally, if there is no time to dodge, will it be hit. Time passed by, Lin Moyu kept delaying the time. Undead, the talent cooldown time is 3 minutes, and every 3 minutes can start a new round. The Zerg couldn't catch up with Lin Moyu and became angry. A terrifying aura rose from his body. Lin Moyu's whole body tensed up, his hair stood on end, he felt mortal danger. In the next second, the starry sky collapsed. The starry sky with a radius of 100,000 meters suddenly collapsed, and invisible forces squeezed from all directions, and the huge force prevented him from escaping. He saw that the worm was disintegrating, and the body of the worm disintegrated inch by inch, and every time it disintegrated, a huge shock wave would spread out. The starry sky with a radius of 100,000 meters turned into a black hole, and everything inside seemed to be blown into nothingness. Each wave of energy impact can cause the undead army to collapse once. Lin Moyu's plan to scatter the undead army didn't work. After 6 times, undead entered the cooldown, and the undead army did not resurrect. Together with Lin Moyu was also killed by the strong shock wave. Lin Moyu's consciousness fell into darkness in an instant, as if he was really dead. In the next second, Lin Moyu snapped back to his senses. He found that he had returned to reality. The breath on his body was rolling, and he realized that not all the tests he had just done were carried out in the human network. In reality, he also used power, but he didn't know it. The large formation under the feet has stopped functioning, and the light is fading. The assessment is over. Thinking of the last scene just now, Lin Moyu murmured in his heart, I didn't expect to choose to die together. My all-round freshman talent has not been activated, and it seems that Renwang network has not been able to simulate it. But even if the talent is activated, I will still die. In the future, in the real world, you must be careful when encountering Zerg. Lin Moyu didn't move, he was summing up after the battle. Summarizing the gains and losses and understanding your own limitations has great benefits. Mistakes made in the past cannot be repeated. Some mistakes will be fatal. At this time, the star crystal outside the house finally lit up. An incomparably dazzling golden light shot out from the star crystal, illuminating the surroundings resplendently. Everyone was stunned and opened their mouths wide open in disbelief. The golden light represents the pole. But such a dazzling and intense golden light has never been seen before. Even if it is extremely high, it is impossible to be so bright. It's not that I haven't seen GY before. What is this? I think the star crystal is broken. Can it still appear on the top? That's right, it's impossible. While Gu Qingxuan was shocked, she suddenly thought of a legend. When I just finished the test that year, I got an excellent score, and it was a score above the extreme. Although the golden light at that time was not as good as it is now, it was still very dazzling. At that time, she also enjoyed the envious eyes of many people. Just when she was complacent, Lord Yelan said inadvertently, "Extreme is not the strongest." But when she questioned, Lord Yiban didn't mention it anymore. What kind of talent is Lin Moyu? Is it really just extreme? Gu Qingxuan was full of doubts. Beside the star array of the God of War temple, Luo Lao opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the assessment room. The golden light there is too rich and has already diffused over. There was a smile in the old eyes. There is another Tianjiao in my human race. When the star crystal was shining, Lin Moyu's consciousness was connected to the Renwang network again. He received his grading grade. Legend. It's not superior, it's not extreme, it's a legend. What level is the legend? He didn't know. It should be higher than the extreme level. It can't be worse than bad. At this time, information on the 3 cases popped up on Renwang's network. Obtain initial reward, 1000 points. Privilege raised to level 2. Immediately afterwards, a data panel appeared in front of Lin Moyu's eyes, which displayed some information. Lin Moyu. Age, 28. Level, Super God Level 1. Soul, the pinnacle of the 3rd rank. Potential evaluation, Legend. Highest authority, Level 2. Comprehensive strength, Super God 7th rank. Possession points, 1100. Law of control, Law of death. After each piece of data, there is an option that allows Lin Moyu to freely choose whether to hide the data. If it is hidden, others cannot view it. If not hidden, then this information is public. And behind each piece of information, there is a detailed explanation.